The report has 103 pages. This is the report. Investigative reports on Electricity Company of Ghana's container hold-up at Tema Port and related procurement issues. That one made a year report for the first time in Ghana. Minister because hey, Kevin Taylor be hard guy. Yeah. Report has 103 pages. Report it is packed. Maybe show part to be a report him. Me we are not publish yamamu. Afenyo Markin is a criminal. Politics mu per this report he's a criminal. Cables na woman e dey wiring no. Omo wia no makonane. Afenyo Markin in the ECG. Omo nane a no ma sa ton. Na omo agisika no. Baby you do the danger point. Afena me be chiro crazy stuff a hu bi da e wo report him. But also be ati asesa apeke. Afena apeke. Na afena ebe piki ye. But this is the report, investigative report on Electricity Company of Ghana's, that's ECG's container hold-up at Tema Port and related procurement issues. This for Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Prepared by Technical Committee, March 2025. This report, we are ahead of the Energy Ministry. Minister, how did Kevin get this? Because I control Ghana, the media space. I have over 77 people on the ground. Ghana. There's nothing I want. I'm in Sanka, and whatever we get, yen fire in Sanka, the raw detail now. So this is it. Now, so we read the report now. You get to a session where so much detailed finding. Report near 103 pages, 103 pages. Andrew Anajo, myself and my team, we were on phone the whole night, about 4 hours. We read through it and made sure we ticked every single, crossed every T and dotted every I, because we wanted to know all the facts. 103 pages. Not a kind document to come and break down for Ghanaians to understand. Into Udru page 4, you will be a friend. Detailed findings. Say, report where we na me water marking am the two system ni ma Energy Ministry ni ba omombra magasa me boa. These are the facts. Bibia ni ma obi abetu makase a contest wo Ghana. Now let's move forward. Yankan ade bi wa ha. We are going to read and explain. Oko page 20 in the report. Key decisions that led to the container hold up at the port. These are the key decisions. The container hold up after the committee investigations, nyabutre obeti ase obehun say MPP omo before kwasiafo. We need to jail all of them. Now 4.1.1 key decisions that led to the container hold up at the port. 1. ECG decided to use costs, insurance and freight as their preferred incoterm in engaging local suppliers of foreign goods, requiring that ECG clears the containers upon arrival at the port. 2. These are all the key decisions leading to the hold-up. 2. To facilitate this, management decided to set aside and transfer 5 million Ghana cedis each week into a shipping account to be used by the shipping department in clearing ECG containers that arrive at the port. Into ECG, ayo say, ayo containers are omo de beba nyina omo be yino, omo be a department. And omo yo say, almost every time biano omo di sika betum 5 million Ghana cedis. Now that department, where your investigations, the omo uncover and make kind sure mess up a back. Sad department, ECG department, all that they did was they were putting 5 million Ghana cedis in it. Send your every time omo container bed report na no ma clear. And that was basically to sit down every week biano near their tomb. Container bedroom ya ECG ship container bedroom ya na no ma clear. They didn't want to incur any debt at the port. In the investigations, omo say there was a department like that. Omo ECG edisikatum every time the biano sika dem 5 million Ghana cedis. It contain a bedroom report na no my den omoyi yanko enim. Now, okay, point 3. Now, remember, 5 million Ghana citizens, not every week. Every week, be an ECG transfer 5 million to. And ya 1 month, and ya 2 months, and ya 3 months. And ya every single week, na ECG 5 million Ghana. Normally, I to sa department in accounting, shipping department, no. Omo say every week be a 5 million baby dim. Normally, I clear ECG goods or port. Enti ECG was never supposed to encounter anything like demurrage. Say ECG port a ship and a container abeka tema port na ECG nyesika nyi because there's always money sitting and waiting. Now point 3, this is page 20. You have a publishing document now, mama. Point 3, the committee noted that this initiative greatly assisted with containers being cleared without them piling up at the port. Inti omo who say in the investigations, no, omo who say 5 million number 2 week biara na eboa emomo ye dey omo tumi eyi omo nyoma free port wano abra Ghana emboka. Point 4, page 20. However, management in 2022 omo say emom afi eye 2022 no BBC management no stopped transferring the 5 million Ghana cedis into the designated shipping account. Inti almost suddenly 2022 ECG management led by Dubik Mahama, that time no not Kelly Gajepo and a board chair, they stopped moving money into the shipping account. Sa account na every week bia omudi sika tum 5 million Ghana every week tum send a ECG container be reporter omeyi ni fast no every week no 2022 no mujaye Dubik Mahama na MD Kelly Gajepo and na board chair. Suddenly they stopped. Now the question is so mujaya wa wo hwa mo hwa de besi. It means to say ECG containers be reporter. They cannot clear it as frequently as they used to, meaning there's going to be backlog. It means containers are going to pile up. Because the moment you stop the flow of money, it will be clear goods. Every container that comes to be it will be stuck. Now the question is, why did they do that? Page 20 in the investigative report. Point 5. The containers then started piling up at the port due to the unavailable funds to clear them. Into 2.5, the containers started piling up after Dubik Mahama or MD or Kelly Gajepo any board decided say they did not give any reason, they stopped. So the containers started piling up. Now point 6, the Material and Transport Directorate raised the issue at a management meeting but received the response that there were no funds. You see, Transport Directorate no more ECG at a management meeting not Dubik Mahama or MD nitiwo and a transport for na share a shipping and logistics no maso raise say boss 5 million na de be to a shipping account no say sika no mo jaitua your containers so air pile up omubusa Dubik Mahama ewo management meeting no o sika ni ho obi amfa no Jimmy nkoda sika ni ho enti omu pushi ye Dubik Mahama says sika ni ho omu free onko no a and omu so ye din. Let's move forward. Now go point 7. The Material and Transport Directorate wrote at least 3 memos appealing to management to release funds to enable them to clear the containers. However, no response has been received from management regarding these appeals. Inti transport for no almost any transport directorate for no they kept pushing. At least they wrote about 3 letters. Command management and not Dubik Mahama Edano say, boss, the containers are piling. We are incurring losses. We are incurring debt. Ghana for bre Sikano air pilo or ekeba. Dubik Mahama receiving the 3 letters all told them he does not have any money to give them. He ignored them. Kelly Gajepo was the board chair. Mijujum amount. Senabaya ochina kakobi ana kwasiebi embeka se kwasiebi ana kakobi metina radio so mbeka se ai na NDC for mijujum. Now yanko enim. Let's go to page 21. Sorry. Hey, I've gone ahead of myself. Yanko page 21 in Samuel Dawson. Ubehu point 8. This is still the investigative report. No, Ghana da hankwa. This is the first time. Minister, you must check. I can tell a fucking guy. Yes, I control. Now, point 8. The same investigative report. I'm say, in as much as the containers kept piling up with resultant demurrage coupled with management excuse of the unavailability of funds, ECG through the management director continued awarding new CIF contracts without using competitive procurement methods, requiring the payment of 90% of the contract sum when the suppliers submit the shipping document. Now, procurement transport directorate for Epushia Dubik Mahama Eka Sesikeni Wono. The same time ana containers na pile no na ECG through the board Kaligajapo air board chair and Dubik Mahama ECG director no, they were still giving a year contract to companies to be shipping containers or more things to Ghana. In fact, they were basically giving them 90% funding for assuring them to bring it. Inti Ghana for na say we are piling, nyome pile Kaligajapo any idea Dubik Mahama says the same time no, they were still telling shippers to bring more containers. Why? Because the ones at the port, your transport directorate for the we don't have money. We need to clear them. They are piling up. We are paying demurrage. Still, also winning funds. But you are able to still contract companies to bring more containers. This is what the investigators, sir, auditors, the investigations, this is what they came to see. So, I say, Obi BB. 1. Sikana was here declaring your port, I stop it, Mbabium. 2. We are in charge of clearing of the goods. No air catch the MD say management. Ya nyomane pilot ekeba demurrage chair or this kenny. 3. The same time as kenny no Dubik Mahan management and still air shipping yoma ede ba eyeteba port. Why is it so? Because I want to add intra. Let's move on. Now, Uko point 9. Listen to point 9. Per custom laws, consignment that are not entered for clearance after 21 days of discharge at the port are registered under uncleared cargo list UCL and therefore become the property of the state. Almost say during the investigations, who say Embra or why say container ebe ditema port now after 21 days nipa na or ship container ne buy no when to man clear container na automatically sa container na ebe ye Ghana dia. It becomes a property of the state. And in this case, it's a state agency that basically imported these containers. Until right now, 21 days, the state agency has not paid to clear the containers. So it has become a state property. Into technically, Ama Manasha de Guo and a demurrage action and are still almost shipping more deba. Now, Mamin Kobe Nim. It says, oh, team. Okay. Now, when you read the point 10, this is what it says. Containers that remained uncleared for a period of time attract demurrage charges payable to the shipping line. Inti, so containers in the report wa. Now say 21 days. Now so obi ambe year. Sa shipping line na ebia temaport companies na omu hosti containers na esi o masase no omu keep containers no. Now demurrage no was say boa o containers every single day bia no it builds up. Cano almost all container amount you need to pay basically to make it easy for you shipping line and our companies now a host container and I say container this your masase port one you have to pay every day for not coming to clear your container. Dubik Mahama knew. ECG board led by Kaligajipo as the board chair, they knew, they still ignored. They were still shipping containers outside Ghana coming to the port even though they knew say they had hundreds of containers sitting there attracting demurrage. They didn't care. They were still shipping in containers. Dubik said there's no money, but they are still ordering more things to be stuck at the port. Why is it so? Somebody is doing something. There is a plan. Point 11. the number of containers on UCL kept rising with exponential increase in demurrages. Into omo who say afedie containers no ba na eba ECG a onyi containers no ba na eba ECG so a mo an omo kra e na abegu na demurrage ache no e na sika ne kosoro. Dubik Muhammad does not care. Kelly Gajapo, who was the board chair, did not care. Now the question here is, why do you think they know that containers are piling up and they are still shipping containers back? Why do they know, say, the containers are attracting demurrage? Why do you think they didn't do anything about it? The answer is in the pudding. There's a plan. There's a game. They know what they are doing. They are piling it for a reason. Now let's go to point 12. By December 2024, the number of ECG containers on uncleared cargo list UCL had totaled 2,491. Almost say at the end of December 2024, no, not Dubik Mahama, Omakra containers is 2,941 in the seaport war. Omon clear any guho. Busa I say why? Sa containers see a good port way. Where your investigations now, John Jinapo, Emma a committee a year. No, this is their findings. Why do you think they are doing that? Why are they not concerned? Because it is looking more like demurrage no mutual crampo. At the end of the day, it could be say a bit make your containers 100,000 times, but they are leaving the containers there to attract more debt. I didn't know more, yes, sir. Now let's go on. When you get to point 13, sorry. Point 13, this is what it says. Management wrote to the Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority for restoration and request was subsequently granted. Inti management as actual letter comma GRE per restoration and a GRE that time na ekufuadu nipano amishadai ananyonwa na sa kronfona and abianya amishadai akwebina na when we do retirement na ekufuadu sa extending they kept that guy there and that guy restored that guy what granted that. Now already point 14 there's something there, let me show you. Point 14 in the investigative report or see the Materials and Transport Directorate initiated negotiations with the shipping lines with respect to waivers of demurrage cost and had a favorable deal from the shipping lines. In the Material and Transport the Department of ECG, they wrote a letter to the shipping line. Companies now holding containers no port to say, ya percent ka enemo edin komona moma ye waiver bi. Now waiver no anke boya made me clear the containers no. This is a department with ECG. They were trying to take action because they thought to say a can door 2,941 containers and a guo. They wanted to have a negotiation with a shipping line so that the shipping line can meet them halfway for them to be able to ask for some waiver. And as an intiswobi now omotumi a container no. This is the transport and material for no. They are trying to be proactive. Now, Rebecca say, where is the evidence? I make sure one letter. I have about 20 letters. I have container numbers, but I make sure letters be this is one of the letters they wrote to one of the letters they wrote to the shipping line. In this study, this letter was written on the 18th of October 2024. 18th of October 2024. Technically, almost a month after Dubik Mahama resigning a free infant ECG. So when you read the letter, you will see it. Electricity Company of Ghana, Electro Voltage House. The letter is dated 18th October 2024. Now, when you read, it says the commercial director, Meridian Port Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, Temaport, new for no, no mu hold the containers no, into na ECG for department no, actually letter come say, percent komo mu waiver bi, nanka tumia den, ebwa na clear containers the team. So, so study a letter the date now. October 2024, now Afenyo Markin was the board chair. Afenyo Markin became the board chair on July 2024. July 2024, and Afenyo Markin ebe board chair. Until when this letter was being written to MPS for a waiver, no, Afenyo Markin was the board chair of the ECG. And that department of ECG, were worried. They really wanted a waiver into a mutual letter. And to remember, this letter, Afenyo Markin should know about it. Unless as a board chair, he wants to come in front of Jakpa and tell the whole Ghana, say he knew nothing about this letter and that the letter was written by that department head without consulting the MD and also the board. Until Afenyo Markin should come out and tell us, say he doesn't know anything about this letter. Now, what is in the letter? Let me read what's in the letter. So the board chair, ono Afenyo Markin, your letter we no, on na LED board no. Now read the letter now. We respectfully request a waiver of terminal charges accrued on the unit attached below, which have overstayed in your terminal. Many of the units were imported as supply inputs for various electrification expansion programs and a stock for critical repair and maintenance. However, due to many reasons impacting on our supply chain, these units have grossly overstayed at the terminal and attracted prohibitive detention charges. I'm sorry, it's very faint. So I'm doing my best to read for you to know what is actually in that letter that that department at ECG wrote to the MPS, the shippers, the ECG Containers. It is our hope and expectation that a 90% waiver will be granted on all accrued charges to enable us to clear the units by the beginning of the week. This letter was written on the 18th of October 2024. Afenyo Markin was the board chair of ECG. And the department that wrote this letter, a department is under the leadership of Dubik Mahama, who is the MD, and Afenyo Markin, who is the board chair. Now, into Stadia, all the letter was trying to say, then they say, how much your letter command MPS? Ocean Power signing a friend, Engineer David B. Asamoah, Managing Director, Acting, Deputy Managing Director, Engineer and Operations, ECG, Director, Materials and Transport. Into the head of Materials and Transport, Mr. David B. Asamoah, he actually wrote this letter to MPS, Temaport, to say they need a 90% waiver. Omunyi ekani bebre free sunenka 10%. Na omuntimi enclear containers 2,941 na egu na attracted more cost. No. Afenyo Markin was the board chair. Dubik Mahama was board chair. The question is, these two people, did they know about this letter? Can they tell us if they had access, they were told about this letter? Does Afenyo Markin know anything about this letter? Does Dubik Mahama know anything about this letter? Because this letter was sent to MPS. That's our first document. Afenyo Markin is guilty. And anything I can say, let us all come together. Obwa, the crime, now you can't watch them. The crime, now you can't watch them. Afenyo Markin knows everything about this crime. In fact, today in Parliament, he gave you a lot of information. And to remember, this letter, we will publish it. We will let the world know. Afenyo Markin needs to come and tell us whether he knew about this letter as the board chair, and also Dubik Mahama, if he also knew about this letter as the MD. We want answers. It's simple as that. Now, when you read the investigation or investigative report, there's something here I want you to look at. Oko eye number and now point 15. Point 15. Where your page 22 in the report. We will publish it. Don't worry. Page 22.15. Mami numusio kakra. Now, point 15. the shipping department began processing the affected containers for clearing and reached the point of payment, but management failed to allocate funds for this exercise. Into him, the department now, omucho letter comma MPS say, omumo 90% waiver no. It is looking like, or it looked like say MPS agreed. Say okay, say I buying ECG much rubber say more per 90% waiver. We are all working together, and they more for 90% waiver no. Now more for 10% in Branamobesa. But time Omusako catch management led by who? Led by Dubik Mahama, who is the MD, and Afenyo Markin as the board chair. No, they said there's no money. Remember, these are the same people who were giving contracts for companies to bring their more containers to the port. When these people were able to negotiate to make sure these containers were cleared, Afenyo Markin and Dubik Mahama told the transport and the material department now, who were trying to talk to MPS to say, give us 90% waiver. Afenyo Markin and Dubik say they don't have money. This is the investigative report. They made it sure they will publish it. Until when they went back, Afenyo and then Dubik said there's still no money. Even the 10% now almost scan you. Now point 16. Ahana de because my mature document let very important. Afenyo, me say per this document I am showing you he's a criminal. Now up point 16 now. 2 clearing agents, the time now mo catch Ghana for any ECG transport department now almost waiver 90%. No, the same time 2 clearing agents meet logistics first, followed by Dawald's Bond Limited, were introduced to the shipping department by the then managing director through the director of materials and transport as companies contracted to clear the UCL. You know what happened? Dubik Mahama, that time not the MD, on the Afenyo Markin, they did what? They brought on 2 companies. And companies, Edina me boy, Mint Logistics, and Dawald Bond Limited. Now, sa 2 companies way, and Dubik, introducing ma MPS, hold the containers no port through the transport department of ECG, say, these are the 2 shipping companies that can clear the containers from the port. Remember, ECG had gone to MPS to deal directly with MPS to give them a 90% waiver for them to pay and clear. Dubik Mahama can say there's no money. Afenyo Markin can say there's no money. But the same Afenyo Markin and Dubik Mahama brought 2 companies on board and said, the 2 companies, and a transport department, and for Monko the MPS, no Monko clear containers, Where are these companies coming from? Who are these companies? The ECG has been clearing its containers from the port every week by putting 5 million Ghana cedis aside every week, and nothing happened. Why is it that suddenly the 5 million is not coming again? They have stopped that. They have piled containers at the port. Now they are telling MPS, who are the ones holding the containers, say there are some 2 companies from somewhere. Those companies are the ones who are coming to clear the containers. And can you be Afenyo Markin Chebiano? Monko awo or teshi or sheteshi. Afenyo Markin or sheteshi is here. Awo fio hono or Kwaraminu. Afenyo Markin. Now, my mention you see. So, 2 companies. Your friend Bako Mint Logistics and your friend Bako Dawald Bond. Now, my mention what DB. You bought 2 companies ding. Now, Tiadie. Subsequently, Mint Logistics Limited was awarded a contract to clear 1,110 containers at 160,000 Ghana cedis. First, Omudinkaima Mint Company say Uncle clear 1,110 containers and a ECG Chia 160,000 Ghana 160,000, which is Ghana over 16 billion. Edema sa company way from nowhere say omunko clear containers no port war. You see, so 2 companies from nowhere have been created, And they are the ones who have been given money by ECG that did not have money to clear their own containers. But they have been able to get 2 companies that they can pay to go and clear containers at the port. The board chair is Afenyo Markin at this point. This is the time. This is the same time around Dubik Mahama preparing to leave. He created these 2 companies and left. And then his companies, were the ones coming to clear the port containers. So per container, 1,110 containers. But could be almost clearing 160,000 Ghana. Do the math. TNA. So our company a friend Mint Logistics, Afenyo Markin any Dubik Mahama Mama and contract say containers 110 and 1,110. So our company ninko clear. Now each container be an ombetua company 160,000 Ghana. Per container, per one container. Or clear 1,110. Mint company clear 1,110 containers. Container ba could be a lift free airport to a port will be an omobetua 160,000 Ghana cedis. 160,000 Ghana cedis. All Ghana cedis, 160,000 old Ghana 160 billion saying container ba could be a company by left to be 1.6 billion old Ghana 1.6 billion. It is a company way arena or left 1,110 containers ba could be a 1.6 billion. Or the brand new Ghana na 177.6 million. That company took that money. ECG na only sika 5 million Ghana to be taking their containers out. They have given one company, Mint company, from nowhere to clear 1,110 companies, 110 containers. Each container be 160,000 Ghana. Or the old Ghana numa 1.6 billion. Or clear 1,110. Or calculate here and the Ghana is 177.6 million. One way they have in your market, and International catch him say, let us all come together and fight it. He knows he committed this crime as the board chair. Now, my mention what now when you go forward, Dawat Bond, now 2 companies. The second company, Dawat Bond Limited, was also awarded a contract to clear 200 containers in 4 weeks at 115,000. Ain't meant there onya 1,110 containers to clear. But could be a bit 160,000. And at Dawad, you can say unclear how many? Unclear 200 containers. Bakubia, Yabamano container Bakubia 115,000 Ghana. Old Ghana 1.1 billion. Container Bakubia. Afenyo Markin, I'm asking, does he know about this as the board chair? Now, my mention what DB. 2 companies we let's pause here. I make sure the background of the companies. We have gone to dig the companies. Maybe show you'll be shocked. Now let me show you the background of the companies. Mint company in NA. You see the Mint company? Mint company in NA. Now let me show you the details. You'll be shocked. Only say Mint company only 10 workers. Afenyo Markin Dubik Mahama. We are fucking criminals. They are supposed to be locked up. Okay? Company, we decided to dig the companies, those 2 companies, Mint Logistics and Dawad. Now, this is what we were able to find. Oh, in our next production, we will show the faces of all the owners. We will show the faces of everybody. The company owners. Now, the Mint company in the NA, Mint Logistics 2017 our company now sir go down and check the details of the company. Let me show you something here. Nipa omuye juma company omundru omuya 10, just 10, only 10 people. Now entity company edin oma company ni omudi ye yawo Rita in 3 director ni pin number oho ye be kire the tin number. And yawo Edward Abuaje Osaya director ono na director wa ha enti company it belongs to 2 people. The directors are Rita in 3 or a director and Edward Abuaje, honestly a director. These are the two people. Now, so I'll in detail, now checking the number of workers on what's our company, we are 10 pay. The Mint company, the workers are only 10. These documents, we will publish it after the show. In this, I'll check here. You can see clearly, they have only 10 workers. It's down there. Any other red only 10 workers. Now, so we'll read the document now. You can see number of employees employed or envisage 10. Revenue envisage 30,000 Ghana. Phone numbers. We will publish this right after the show. Remember companies now Afenyo Markin NAPO came together to create behind the scenes to go find them to come do this job. You know something? They create these companies and keep them in rooms. So they don't do anything with them. They use them when they want to use them. So don't get this wrong. Sometimes you see a company was created 2017. They create them and they keep them. And sometimes, deal be bad. No more for do you have anybody who has a shipping company? Be a Daho redundant. Also, oh yeah, we have one. Also bring that one. That is what they do. Now we will show the faces of all of these guys. Now, my man show a Dawad company, Nipa send a Juma Dawad. Do you know, say, when we went deep to check this Dawad company, this is the Dawad company. So I'll check here. Company with shares. Company type, private limited. Dawad Bond Limited Company. Omo air registration number, we will publish everything. Now, you be honestly 2017 and you be a company way. Two companies in your in 2017. Yes, they know what they are doing. Now, my mention details kakra company, you'll be shocked. Do you know, say, company where a friend Dawad na omomano 115,000 each container be left 200 containers are almost by how many Nipa mu ye adwuma was our company Dawad company nipa one pair. And only one envisage one person. Company almost for nipa ba pay adwuma. They envisage to employ only one person. One. But that company has been given a contractor or left container ba kubia or Temaport 115,000 Ghana times 200. 1.5 billion times 200 containers. Afenyo Markin a board chair. He signed this and he agreed. Dubik Mahama and a management MD on a sign here and I'm saying this is good to go. We are talking about billions. We are talking about billions of dollars. This is not a joke. And remember, the question I was asking Afenyo Markin and say, does he know anything about these things? Because from the beginning, ECG told management that they don't have funds to clear containers at the port. Suddenly, ECG has been able to raise 115,000 each for a container. Two companies, 100 and the container bakubia 160,000, 1.6 billion. So I'm asking, the board chair of ECG, Afenyo Markin, did he know about this? Did he sign it? Does Dubik Mahama, who used to be the MD, did he know about this before stepping away? We are asking simple questions. I am not fighting Afenyo Markin. I want Ghanaians to know who Afenyo Markin is. In this calculation now, Mint company, they made away with 177.6 million Ghana cedis free. And Dawad for they made away with 23 million Ghana cedis free. 177.6 million Ghana cedis. Look what Ghana cedis over 17 trillion. They made that money free. And Dawad for they made 23 million free. The containers to date, we don't know where they are. They were supposed to clear the containers, but as we speak today, we don't know where all those containers are. Now, when you get to a year third point fourth, no. Because 1 second, let me know where we were. No, we are done with this. Yes. Point 19. And don't forget, NAPO was the sector minister. NAPO was the energy minister. Don't forget to. In Timema Revi, Asama Yekenina, the minister was NAPO. Don't forget. NAPO was overseeing all this. Afenyo was the board chair. Now, point 19. The two clearing agents started profiling all ECG containers on UCL. Into the two companies, they started doing their checks. They started counting the containers. Because sika be fie. Now, point 20. The committee noted during discussions that inasmuch as management indicated there were no funds to clear the piled up containers at the port, they awarded contracts to these clearing agents mentioned above and made some payment. Investigators who say upon summer management, Dubik Mahama, Afenyo Markin Mokase, Sikeni Honyinano, they were able to make payment to these two companies. 20 million and 177 million. Where did they get the money from? Because if we had not stopped the 5 million that was put in a special shipping account, it was clearing every container that comes quickly. We wouldn't have gotten here. It means somebody deliberately stopped it for the containers to pile up to bring a company to come and clear and make over 200 million Ghana cedis. That is the part we are talking about when a friend create, loot, and share at the Afenyo Markin, Dubik Mahama at ECG. This is dangerous. These people are not supposed to be staying at home tonight. Say, are you ready to say about corruption? They are supposed to be spending time at BNI office and answering questions. Afenyo Markin or Teshi. Or awo, me de awo picture ba chiremo. Onen kwara ni wrong picture ba chiremo. Now, when you read point 20, point 21, this decision of management unfortunately rendered the shipping department of ECG almost redundant. It is that decision now, Dubik Muteki from Keligaja Post time all the way to Afenyo Markin's time. No, that department now nanka was a sage man, anka a good flat. The idea, the plan was to break down that department, and they succeeded because almost starve department, of mania. So sad department it is automatically going to collapse. So what they did was that they starved it. They did not give it money. They did not put money in there. The moment that department is shut down, the containers will pile up, and when the containers pile up, they can bring their companies in to come and clear and pay them. That's all. And then Afenyo Markin kind of parliament, because he has an idea into TNA. We'll come back to TNA. Listen to him very well.
ECG. I had the privilege of chairing the board in July. Because I'm a businessman, the first question I ask myself is that how can ECG award a contract? And when the contract is awarded, all the person does is deliver at the port, present bill of lading, and request for payment. I said, with the greatest respect, I don't want to use a word. This is parliament. I was shattered. I said, how? And ECG would have to pay. So I realized that ECG was paying a lot of bills when they have not even had access to the goods. And when you ask them, I asked the procurement manager, director of procurement, a question. I said, why did he say, oh, chairman, this is the practice since. This is the practice.
He's lying. If that was the practice and you saw that the practice was wrong, as the board chair, what were you supposed to do? He also joined the practice. We were Jimmy or a Cronfort. Per this document I'm reading to you, why can't this a practice near illegal? What do you do as the board chair? Did you join the practice? Yes. Because if you did not want to join the practice, you would have stopped the practice. But because you are a businessman with the intentions of making billions, you joined the practice. So you are guilty, you are a criminal, you need to be questioned, and you need to be jailed. You are a liar. You are a thief. Now, maybe soccer punch, so we didn't do baby. They say, Kevin, now, my uncle page, page 23. This is the investigation report. Investigative report no my detailed na meju dwam Afenyo Markin obegina parliament so mo hwe Junsogu no on kanokre. I was say NIB Jakpa I was mo pick Afenyo app, omo pick the Big Mahama app, omo pick Keligajepo. They need to answer questions, Mr. Mahama. Now let's read this one. I'm in DB. Now, when you read this page, this is what they basically the findings now. The committee obtained the list of containers from the Director of Materials and Transport of ECG, the Director of Ports, and the manager responsible at the Meridian Port Services MPS terminal at the Tema Port. Inti investigators no ana committee no omukoye and omuko the Director of Material and Transport omukoje the list of containers are a Tema Port. And omusako the MPS omu ana omukipi containers no port as containers are also a bit to abegino omuko also list. That is what the committee and our investigative team know. Now look at what happened next. Now, the committee physically counted the containers and compared them to the list obtained and found various degrees of discrepancies. Say committee need a list every ECG transport. How many containers na more port? So you this amount. So far less than my. And I'm call MPS for no hold containers and say, you see ECG containers be ha. Na yes saying more far less than my. J less than me no. And Omagasa call baby a container no. And call kind container nina. And who say no BB insi so. BB a shifty. A shifty. A dare not shifty. Almost a numbers not shifty. And see there are some discrepancies for PZ4. You can say discrepancies are not just say and shouldn't see any BB and shouldn't see any ye and shouldn't jina BB a yera wom just say I should have shifted. Young job na menchiro BB. Now, this is what they found. See below the results of the containers counted and the degrees of discrepancies. Almost say table in a bit show. Omoko kind container no ground no any list no mo ECG any list no MPS for port no omo nkyeremo omo hwe physically de mu hu ye. Now list of containers obtained omoko Ghana Port and Harbour no na list of the bomb ye 1132 containers are ECG eka kire omo se omo wo no ECG se omo wo 2464 inti ECG4 Oko port for so almost 1134 32 Oba containers are almost obtaining ECG4 so containers near 2462. Now containers accessed and counted by the committee. ECG4 can say dear containers say what port 2462 and a port for so dabi 1132. Now, committee ni call hona on one kasa kind of physically no. Who say ECG for no containers are na waha omokase 2462 no na enye 2462 na 1134. Ghana Port and Harbour for eka say containers are sebio mo hono 1132 omokodu na 1134. That means say the 2 per and a faso. Meaning say the port for no car no na no kura kutrodo two containers per NFA omuni so. Nanso ECG for there catch committee so oh ya were 2462 and our port war committee ko do port war no na 1134 meaning 1328 containers ayra eni physically eni ho. Do you understand? J list every ECG was a container send our port. I'm saying containers our port 2462 and I'm saying thank you. And I'm call a shipping company was say ECG4 containers send our and a ECG for a shipping company say oh I had the port at the ECG4 on paper the name say containers 1132 and I'm so good. Yani anka say be kind. Omko kan no omo hu say shipping company ni ka say 1132. In fact, omo hu 1134. Meaning say shipping company no omo ni for 2 peso. Now omo check ECG4 na omo say omo containers nko a wo ho 2462 no. Omo ko hu say containers wo ho na physical omo kan no na 1134. Meaning ECG4 short 1328. The 1328 containers na away. That is the question our investigators no ebusa. Now, MPP, Afenyo Markin. unnim de eba. Now, point 3. Out of the list of 2,462 containers provided by ECG as a number of containers on UCL, a whopping 1,328 could not be accessed by the committee, while 34 were in transit and yet to arrive at the port, as at 31st January 2025, as indicated in the document provided by ECG. Now, neither Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority nor ECG could account for the 1,338 containers at the time of writing this report. Almost say, almost busa port of one say na na and I have say ECG forecast say 1,134 na waha 2,000 334 na waha you do 8,000 port of one say ECG for numbers of the amount no mo boa ye busa ECG for say sa containers no wen sa containers na wen ye ngina ha now don't move. Enema NDC government led by the energy minister Eka said no, they are going to open investigations and follow the money, follow the containers. Na you start ehun sa nyoma we, you start echichi containers. Ye wie yo, ma me fa we nchira oni ento aso.
So that is what we have over there. So they are in the process of melting all this.
No, but the immediate thing is to stop every movement now.
And we are going this way.
No, but even bamboo,
All right, so no, but I want everybody to have you. There are many, so we need to. Okay, so this is originally how all the containers came. And you can see how they are sealed in the wooden pellets. Some people manage to break the seals to these containers. Then they removed. So see, about the first line, we have one, I can see eight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Other 8 or 9. Is it 8?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 8, and then 8 coming all the way to.
Okay, fine. So some quantity have been taken from the top. There's only one over there. So this line is gone. And when you open all the containers, you see the same trend. So it means that it was cleverly done by the criminals behind these whole activities. So we just wanted you to have information about this. They are not yet taking the content, but they are cleverly taking some from the top line, top layer. Yes. So they take and they leave the last one over there. When we open the next container, you see the same thing over there. Yes. Yes. So
You're saying that they generally remove the top.
The containers no cables na woman e be wiring no. Omo wia no makonane. Afenyo Markin in ECG. Omo nane a no masa aton. Na omo adisika no. Baby you do the danger point. Afena me be chiro crazy stuff a hu bi da e wo reporting him. But also be ati asesa apeke. Afena apeke. Na afena ebe piki ye. Inti fra obi akasa Kevin Taylor say obe piki ade no baby a wo yem be hyew na yedu no. Me be chiro baby a wo yem be hyew. The danger in what they have done. Friend people ni bia na just Kevin Taylor say apeke. Danger point ni yedu no. Ahwe de ko. report ni when na mo pese bu behu no. Now let's move from here na yenko enim na menkyere wade bi. Now when you go to page 24 of the report, possible theft and auctions of ECG containers, page 24. 103 pages. Minimi team tina so enra ye kan ni nyina na ade chen. Yeah. We are on video call talking the whole night, reading every page. Do you know how this page got to this point? You think it's a joke? Now, Mami Jujum. Mami texted my wife and can't say, I'm going to be late coming home. No, who say 7 up, my kids can have dinner. On shako, me text me. Me catch my wife say, and I mean befintem because me yes can me dwan baby mu. Wife o tiase say, oni medwuma no say dwuma ne nyina ne ye oyebi, misum yebi. Obama me response is here. Inti mo me amfan wom. Now. Okay, page 24. This is what is in there. The committee noted during discussions with staff of Mint Logistics Limited and Dawad Bond Limited, the issues of possible theft and auction of the containers owned by ECG. The committee noted during discussions with staff of Mint Logistics Limited and Dawad Bond Limited, the issue of possible theft and auction of the containers owned by ECG. 2. The committee further observed that the prolonged stay of the containers at the port exposes the contents of all forms of security risk, including theft and expiration, among others. 3. During the committee's visit to Tema Port to ascertain the actual number of containers, it was noted that a number of containers had been opened and some of the items removed. 4. Customs regulations allow the auctioning of uncleared goods listed under UCL after a specified period due to unpaid duties or abandoned shipment. 5. However, by convention, containers belonging to government agencies are not auctioned without notifying the agency involved. Page 24. Committee say, omuni eye Dawad company no, any eye the Mint company no, ehia na omuni omudi nkonwo no mu said abi. I say krono die bia bem answer somebody ma ene sibi omo kirekire nsem mu no na bibi nsisi so na omo behu say omo ye omo investigations omo kopie containers na aka no bi so no omo hu say containers no kura no ye bie so e ma nyoma na ewo mu no ye wie bi na de na etwa wo no say omo nim say containers ye aban dia say sebio ye declare say ya mbe clear kura na say demorage china until say sa aban company no enim hu bi say e wo say ye ton no sa container no bibie nim a wo say ye yi ton nanso mo hu say even though ECG embe ka bibia nkyere eye MPS for say ye container ya demorage ache no abaye state property no munyi munyoman ton no mo hu say nipa bi etumi akotwitwa container no eyiyi eye cables no ye ka over 2000 o eyiyi cables no akotwedi. Remember, Asama Yeken, it happened under Afenyo Markin as the board chair of ECG, Dubik Mahama as the MD of ECG, Kelly Gajepo as the board chair, Afenyo be replacing. So we are not joking here. Now, when you go down there, you see this. Number 6, it is worthy of mention that when the committee inquired from the director of materials and transport and the general manager inventory, they denied that fact that ECG's containers have ever been auctioned or stolen. Almost say, investigations in Kubusa, ECG department, and say, but containers in Ebuha, ye baby, so ye ya auction be, ebia ira, almost bibia, bibia, komushi, mumu, and omani friend of Maswisi, into bibia, and I'm so okay, yate. The kind report no. Number 7, however, the AG manager or the acting manager shipping admitted before the committee of the issue of stealing ECG containers at the port and provided documentations to confirm that he had informed the general manager inventory, but nothing or no action was taken in that regard. Acting managing director or shipping so no or say ampa or the question or kind of cray or say I do what the CNAC your containers no we are no movia chap and no movia we are no womb and no to be any and no auction and they are true Makache management the cross woman female would have a problem. Hey, acting managing director or say hey massa me better and me musa sanyo way nyina koso Makache management na the board check ranim ni nyina me kan almost no lie inti Mr. de menu na makache dem no Ghana for sikara mroko kra eye cables no omu wia ene de ye nyina me na mabeto so me acting MD. Now oko page 25 bibi oho ehu rough demurrage. Now committee na omuko investigations no omu hu bibi mame dwedwam nkyiraw. The committee obtained a written letter or certificate regarding the total estimated demurrage as of 31st January 2025 from the Materials and Transport Directorate. According to the Directorate, the estimated demurrage is 1,040,370,787 Ghana cedis and 50 pesos. Committee in the investigations, no. Demurrage are actually a ECG containers. Egu eye port Dubik Mahama Afenyo Markin board chair ignore ye Emma containers we a pilot 1 billion but nye sika e cover two companies etiomuka 177 million and 23 million to just come and clear a year containers. Demurrage at ECG containers could do 1 billion over 1 billion. Afenyo Markin a board chair. He knows all this. He didn't say anything. Afenyo Markin, he knows all these things. He knew. He was sitting in the board meeting. Mumusa Afenyo Markin said, did he know? Was he briefed by the MD that this is the cost or the debt we are incurring as ECG under your leadership as the board chair? Does he know? Jakpa, ask Afenyo Markin does he know? Did he know? Original parliament here, let's all come together and fight this. It is the service and it is the custom workers. No, it is him. He's a businessman and a politician, and he's doing this at the same time. Now, now, point 2, page 25, or say, the committee obtained and reviewed the register of the demurrage containers, that is, with its related contracts, as of 31st January 2025, totaling 909,508,400 Ghana cedis. The amount of demurrage reported here differs from the amount received from the Materials and Transport Directorate. Now, omuko eye company na container ni si omo no. Omo say e car ECG de ewo eye containers na begu port one omumbe yi no 900 million. But go ECG no go busa say na mo de ka sen wo port wo say de ka 1 billion. ECG for some de ka 1 billion. Nipa na ye de ka say ya de ka 900 million. ECG for de ka no some de ka 1 billion. Nipa na ye de ka no say da be ye de ka 900 million. But ECG say it's still a bit 1 billion. This is Afenyo Markin. This is Afenyo Markin, board chair, and Dubik Mahama. This is their coordination. They are a very good pair. Now, who really 25 now? I'll say the committee compared the containers physically counted with those contained in the demurrage register to verify the authenticity of the demurrage claimed. Discrepancies were discovered herein. The total counted was less than what was obtained or contained in the register as reported under 421, and value of the demurrage of the containers counted totaled 432,500,800 Ghana cedis. In terms of me checks nankasano containers pa aka e was ECG etua can 400 million pe. But so ECG wa they are giving you 1 billion. Now, and they are creating an impression say uko baby containers this is now 900 million. So the discrepancies are there. Right now, ECG a car diankasa for the containers na port one because our calculation now we are talking about over 2,000 containers which is supposed to be at the port, but as we speak 1,300 and something is out. The shippers are calculating what is actually at the port that they physically see and charge. But ECG in their office, they are calculating 3,000, which in physical terms or to see realistically, 1,500 or 1,300. But ECG on paper, they are calculating a demurrage for over 2,000 containers. Into ECG on paper, technically they have bloated the number and making you think this all port where the number of containers are calculated say demurrage of over 1 billion. And then but to do port where containers are physically so kaya 400,000 Ghana cedis. 400 million. It does not get to that amount. You see what they are doing? The ECG on their document, on their computer, on their system, the instructions now do big Mahama any Afenyo de Mom say they should keep that number. Some number no ma omode confuse energy minister no. Because when the transition was being done, they gave the transition team Jinapomo a number that is on their system. Whilst they knew, say, when you go to the port, that is not the real number. It is a number now a almost system, no, and then the ma Abu Jinapo. Into Abu Jinapo could do port one say, no, you gave me this number, but when I got to the port, it is even lower than the number. Then I need to open investigations, and then they are PH. And it's that they were quick to come to market to say, and this is where we are container because they knew that they had committed a crime. They knew that Afenyo Markin led that cartel. They knew that they had stolen from us. Into the moment the energy minister be investigations, and then on me fast because hey, and this is where we are containers because they knew Afenyo Markin on it Dubik Mahama and the Kaligajapono. This is what they did. And I just say, Andy, Mamma Chow be a dangerous chain we. Shade, yan jumping ko page 46. Ubebuashi gigim. Me say, Ubebuashi. Now, let's go to page 46. Shade be oho. You'll be shocked. Now, key findings: procurement practices in ECG. Afena obehu bibi. A best shock we be chow yem. Messiah Nadri or Senka a jakpa or kochi. Afenyo Markin. I'm telling you, he needs to be arrested tonight. He was the board chair. A chair catcher said he does not know anything about what I'm talking about tonight. Now, Shadiesi. Now, procurement in excess of approved budget. I'm to be procure now budget so. Afenyo Markin. Remember, MD. He will need the board approval before he can procure anything. So when it comes to procurement, the board is the final say. Afenyo Markin is the board chair. Now heard the Afenyo Markin yeah. It was again noticed that every year ECG heavily procured, thus overspent its approved budget with regards to procurement. The committee randomly selected the most recent years for review. The years under reviews were 2022, 2023, and 2024. Omo say procurement breaches be so crazy with ECG. Into committee no investigation because okay. You who say in krata na yehwe no from the board to the management bibi so crazy. Year in year out no omo ko procure anaso omo ko tonyama sika omo so omo ko to to be balloon into omo pick random years. Omo pick the year 2022, the year 2023 and the year 2024. Amo person mo share ECG procurement. Say board no agree to the procurement and sikana omo ka say omo de kotonyama no. And na omo de den omo de tonyama no. Do not forget to say Napo na energy minister. Sa time away nyina esio. They always consult Napo. Mema review. I na mo review mo ho. Asama ye kan ye koba no. Sa two companies Napo ni hu biu. Anytime I DM member Napodino because with the Napo se mi bebrebo. Remember, some investigations we Napo na ye energy minister o. Sika Napo ria ye condensate kwa enka ho asem $2 million. Okay. Condensate yiraye e wo to. Condensate. Napo be catch say $2 million worth condensate worth $2 million. E wia bo no man na ne koy. Okay. Ene kwa dem nko ho. But remember, so I make Napo Nana energy minister. Now I'm going procurement breaches and inconsistencies and discrepancies in the constituencies, on the consistencies, the inconsistencies. Please, let's go to the procurement and see the discrepancies and the inconsistencies and how the consistency in the inconsistencies has made it so consistent that we know that there is some procurement breaches. Please, what you say? Nina say procurement obo krono yankoshe. Munya butena munya red no. Unim red. Now munya 25, 46. Now these were the years they pick. Basungwa. Now, I'm going to pick value plan procurement 2022. This is what happened. And in 2022, not Dubik Mahama, MD. Not Kelly Gajapo, and board chair. 2020, I'm planning on procurement of 1.7 billion. 1.7 billion. No, 1.7 million, sorry. 1.7 million. 1.7 million. And I'm going to say, get me right. 1.7 billion. And I'm going to say, procurement. Now, the actual procurement in the year 2022, no, na 460 million. I'm going to say, procurement of the Nyomankwa 1.7 billion. In actual fact, no, 2022 no procurement no na 460 million. Now, deviation from planned procurement. That means to say, sa diomo yeso bo beto ankasa o manya to sika kechi na 1.3 billion. Ye busa say sa 1.3 billion no sa sika no deviation no sa sika be 74% no e fine. Initially, I'm procurement of 1.7 billion. I'm ended up in 2022 doing a procurement of 460 million. Now, at the end of the day, no, that means I can't achieve 1.317 million, a billion. Now, the question here is, where is that money? Where did the 1.3 billion go? Because I didn't excess a catch. So the investigators, Ebusa Napo, where the Ebusa Kaligajapo, and Dubik Mahama say, mo project is 1.7 billion, but mo use 460 million into 1.317 billion. Where is that money? Now 2023, Shadebi see, value planned procurement yes in 2023. Na 935 million. 935 million. In Kwana Maya somebody better to Tonyama Ama ECG. 935 million Ghana cedis. Now look at this. Sika Kasa almost spending here at the end of the day, no. 8.3 billion. See. Omo say omo be procurement of 935 million Ghana cedis. But at the end of the day, no, 2023, almost spending 8.3 billion. 900 million to 8.3 billion. Into Yabusomo say that deviation from planned procurement, which is 7.3 billion, no, so 7.3 billion. What you say? And this was 2023. Omekache say, oh, yeah, quite procurement of 935 million Ghana cedis. It is so steady. The rot actually started in 2023. Because you see, they projected 1.7 billion in 2022 and almost spending 460 million. Now, so by 2023, almost say almost spending 935 million. At the end of the day, no, they had spent 8.3 billion. From 950 million, they ended up spending 8.3 billion. That means 7.3 billion aira. So investigators say, now you know, say, oh, 935 million. Now you end up spending 8.3 billion. How? So where is the 7.3 billion? Remember, sa time no, na Kelly Gajapo and a board chair. Dubik Mahama, not that we MD. Napo was there. So Busa won't say, so where did the money go? You are jumping from 900 million to 8 billion. Over 7 billion is gone. Where did the 7 billion go? The 2023 election year, they needed the money. Now you see, and about 2024, how do you see it? I'm a project here, and I'm a plan say, I'm a procurement of 1.3 billion for ECG. They ended up spending 8.2 billion. Another 6.8 billion. Sikani kwa him. Wait, na why na board chair? Afenyo Markin. Why na MD Dubik Mahama. 2024. Our plan is say our procurement of 1.3 billion. They ended up spending 8 billion, meaning another 6.8 billion. 2023, 7 billion. 2024, 6 billion. Okadimi is saying 13 billion. Where is that money? When you put the other figures together, almost 14 billion Ghana cedis. Where did that money go? The investigations now move simple, son. This is what is in there. Into Mumbusa Afenyo Markin as the board chair. Mumfred Kalikajopo. Now Mumfred Dubik Mahama. Mumbusa Afenyo Markin said, you were the board chair in 2024. When they were going to do the procurement, they said we're going to spend 1.3 billion. What came up for them to spend 8 billion? As the board chair, you granted them that green light to go and spend 8 billion. What did you see for you as the board chair of ECG to allow this to happen? Afenyo Markin, all the money went to him. And Nuntina, they be original parliament. I am a businessman. I am a businessman. This is what he has been doing. And for now, there, he should come and tell us, as the board chair of ECG, how 14 billion disappeared. Because from the documents and from the reports, from the document, from the report, you can see 2022, they procured less than whatever they have done, what they have actually planned to procure. Because in 2022, Omkasom procured 1.7 billion, but they ended up procuring 460 million, meaning they saved money. What happened in 2023 and 2024? That in 2023, 2024, you projected, and I said, plan is to procure 935 million. You end up procuring 8 billion, 935 million. It didn't go to 1.2 billion. It didn't go to 2.1 billion. It didn't go to 3 billion. It didn't go to 4. It didn't go to 5. It didn't go to 6. It didn't go to 7. It went to 8 billion. Oh, my man. What at all did you procure that estimated cost of 935 million jump all the way to 8 billion? Now, 2024, you say you were going to procure Nyoma for ECG 1.3 billion. It did not go to 1.4 billion. It did not go to 1.6 billion. It did not go to 2 billion. It did not go to 3 billion. It did not go to 4, 5, 6. It went to 8 billion. From 1.3 to 8 billion. You, Afenyo Markin, you were the board chair. Without the board approval, Dubik Mahama cannot spend this money. Where did this money go? Now, you understand the job, my team, the job we do here. We are not joking. This is saving this nation, resetting the system. Afenyo Markin blow the money. At this point, and I don't see a channel. Jakpa and the NIB. Afenyo Markin needs to be picked up. He needs to be prosecuted. He needs to come and tell us how and what he saw for him to approve 8 billion instead of 1.39 billion. Where did the money go as the board chair? Afenyo Markin see estates, 200 rooms, or see school, or your way, Ubusana, I'm a businessman. He's lying. Ayo enemy sika no owia. Afenyo cannot stand in parliament any day to discuss Ghana politics. Never. Now, Mami Chiro Bibi were reporting him. And anke wie dia sanke bel there. Hwe bibi wa ha a dangerous. Obusa Afenyo, I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman. You should come and tell us. He's the board chair. He was the board chair. Now, uko page 48. Eshishaho, no mashishaho. Jakpa, listen. This is investigations report in here. Now, excessive use of price quoting or quotation and single source for high valued contracts. This is what they did in 2022, 2023, and 2024 when it comes to single source. In fact, contract and go through any competitive tendering. ECG a public asset. So ECG case of my contractor. Then also ECG also truck to newspaper. Ya pese akoto pipe. Ya pese akoto cables. Company amo abontini amo Ghana mo nim se munim adwuma. Momfa mu quotation bra na yenhwe. Wa wo ya ade no the amount. Under Keligajepo, under Afenyo Markin, especially under Afenyo Markin, there was nothing like that. They create their own companies and give them the job. In Afenyo Markin, that parliament can say, I'm a businessman. I'm Obwa. Jimmy. That is how he's stealing from you people per the investigative report. I am basing all that I'm saying on the investigative report I am reading to you. Now, now, it was again noticed that ECG for the past 3 years, 2022, 2023, 2024, applied heavily single source procurement and request for quotation to almost all its procurement activities, including very high valued contracts. Though these are methods that the procurement law prescribes, the Act 663 as amended and the manual is instructive as to which activities these two methods should be used for. Single source is applied to terrains where specialty is skewed to very limited suppliers or only one supplier, whilst requests for quotation, that's RFQ, are mainly for low value procurement activities. Basically, don't find it out and say 2022, 2023, 2024. No, be a BB say contract be engage. They don't open up. But they know say Emranich say all the contract be a soon. Sebio Sikadu Pempensobia, you are forced by the law to open competitive tendering because Sawoya Sana Emma a corruption aspect no utmi enevit utmi yifrim. But the moment one sano, then it means you have a plan. You have decided to give that contract or that huge money, that value to a specific company, which is bad because then it could be say, some special interest with that company. Intina when be a competitive tendering. But say basically, so award the contract a small money. You can decide to make it a single source. But the moment the value is huge, you know. The reason why you have to do a open tendering and they say it clears that notion, it clears that possibility of corruption or of individuals who have interest in it to connive or sit behind the scenes with other people to take the contract. Into my investigations, somebody who say ECG from 2022, 2023, 2024 no single source contract Oma to me what to one from the Panam Diamano. Oma so to be a company, no man can say Amomo. And it's enough in your market in the parliament or say I'm a businessman. Mese Oshe a you Oshe a awoho teshi on an out two metrum house no. Now share the second paragraph. John Mahama Kasa Ghana is a crime scene and akwasi ebisu. Procurement best practices in conjunction with our procurement laws advise strongly the use of more appropriate methods which gives high return with regards to value for money. These methods are enshrined in our laws and includes the National Competitive Tendering, that's the NCT. Now, NCT is applied in circumstances where there are several suppliers or contractors who can deliver the activity. The method bringing to bear competition regarding quality, standards, cost, among others. Now, in the actual activities procured, ECG also use proprietary and board approvals, TA, in the actual activities procured, ECG used proprietary and board approvals as a procurement method. These methods are not prescribed in the laws pertaining to public procurement. In the actual activities procured, ECG also used proprietary and board approvals. Almost some investigation who say the procurement na ebaso ECG AUZ board nkwa and the yes adwuma. In fact, what ECG did, especially under Afenyo Markin and say, adia nanka also a go through procurement, a go through tendering. They straight ahead. Dubik Muhammad Deba border na Afenyo Markin assign. They used the board. They ignored the procurement office. They ignored the due process. They cut out the part that will stop the corruption. They basically ignored the procurement process. All that they did was that they picked the deals with their friends, and then Dubik will take it to Afenyo Markin at the board, and they will agree and sign. When they went there and saw the documents, that is what they saw. Afenyo Markin paired this document is a hardened criminal. I'm a businessman. I am a businessman. From the day about politics, or the mwedidi, or who's a mwejimi, into sorry, or say I am a businessman. Now, my mentor baby dangerous, no. Page 49. What was I doing? My mentor, no man no kind no ni table ni shadie. Board approvals in Guao, Afenyo Markin, yeah, single source. In fact, 2022, single source in Guao 33. Shadie. 2022, single source 33. Now, over total number of contracts, 142. And proprietary, the ones are, the omujinemu edema 9. RFK, and 100. Now, over 2023, a single source, a 512, 2023, single source contract in Kwam de Maya, and go through tendering. Yembi mama Ghana for 512. Total number of contracts on Maya now is 703. Board approved 21. The 512 no. Afenyo Markin board no omo approve Keligajipo board no omo approve 21 of those contracts. Now Sauba Afenyo Markin tenure single source contract omo ma 425. It is against the law. Afenyo Markin tena board no so no omo ma 425 single source contract. Single source. Yan can't robia oman a pick up company no deal ni ma oba the number of contractor de maya and the Afenyo Markin omoma 601 contract 601. Now oba the board approve straight 7 manenko and 7 no e hona sikali jina into the bia wote na Afenyo Markin abegina TV so who NCT a national competitive tendering into check 2022 NCT no na is 0 MBA competitive tendering bia ebia wo NCT wo ho unhu de mini NCT means national competitive tendering. RFQ means request for quotation. In the 2022 no single source na 33 national competitive tendering na is 0 MBA amobia and oba RT and the owner is 0 RFQ which is the request for quotation 100 and I'm requesting for quotation. Proprietary no proprietary no 9. Now over 2023 single source 512. Now RFQ which is the request for quotation no 166. National competitive tendering ubecha 00 into Uber ECG from 2022 to 2024. No competitive tendering. Everything is closed. Over 2024, Afenyo Markin time, single source 425, competitive tendering 0. They did not give anybody request for quotation 0. Inti they don't open it up. They give it anything na Osha Canada Japan to minya ECG contract bebre. Because yem be emu poma unhu companies no. Inti sa contracts no. De ma MPP for millions. Now my men show baby a who park say 739 Now idea bi wa ha orebe ho. Ohun sa idea we. The qualification of the procurement director. This is how they were able to manipulate the system. Ohun say no more procurement office or ECG. Some person your procurement bia. They need to make sure they have the right person there to see to the procurement. This is what they did. They strategically did some job, and that is how they were able to get their way by using only non-competitive tendering. That's how they were able to just get their own people to give them the contract, because they had to put together a master plan. Master plan and I'm a bachelor. Now, when you now report more, we're page 57. I mean, you do more, huh? Mr. S. Yeah. Some of them say Haptel, but Omia company, Haptel. They are also making money from ECG. We will talk about that. Now, you ready when you be It is expected that the director of procurement should possess the requisite skills, competence, and qualification in order to lead the directorate in the right direction. Listening to the current director of procurement, it was evident that the then board of directors reassigned the current director of procurement, Mr. Samotegu, who was the then director, premises and estates, to a newly created directorate called Procurement, Premises and Estate Directorate in February 2023. This reassignment was done at a board meeting without any interview, as is expected of such a high-level position. Almost I'm call who bibi. Man we. Your friend Mr. Tego. MPP pa man we. I'm going to your friend Mr. Tego. Now the go we and say, Mr. Tego didn't come who say only idea be about procurement. Or a daft. In fact, position na occupy ewo ECG no na eye premises and estates. But in 2023 no Keligajapo Dubik Mahamamo, they wanted to do something because they needed the money, but the way they could get the money said they had to cut out a procurement. Now they cannot completely cut out procurement department, so they had to come put somebody who is dumb, who has no knowledge about procurement. Senebeya Dubik Mahama, Keligajapo, and Afenyo Markin they could cut around him and do their job. Into this man, Samotegu, or no, and you know the funny thing, Meji Samotegu no ministry and an department, which is premises and estate, and the Meji procurement. Do you know the one funny thing? The guy did not go for any interview. Keligajapo, Dubik Mahama at board meeting, they approved him. They did not consider anybody. They just lifted the guy from estates, premises and estate, all the way to procurement and Meji office. No? He did not go through anything. All that they did was that they took him there and they said, go to this office. We have merged the office. Technically, they put a dumb fool there because they knew, say, when they get a dumb idiot there, they can do what they want. So this guy did not go through any procedure. He did not go through any interview. They did not even open up for people to also apply. They just picked this guy from estate, from premises and estate. They merged premises and estate, the two departments, and gave it to this man. But said this man is daft. His main expertise, premises and estate. He has no knowledge about procurement. Into Dubik Mahamano, that boy made a lot of money using these people. Because Odim say Jimmy, he and Keligajapo, and it's not Dubik Mahama and Keligajapo. And almost resigning. You almost say why? Almost so many reasons. Yeah, they had used this guy and they have made billions. Now, when you read the second part of that page, 57, this is what you see. Let me take this idiot off. When you read the second paragraph, prior to this, the then director of procurement, Engineer Jacqueline Ofori-Atta, let me get you her picture. So this woman was the woman who was there before they ganged up and sacked her. Honestly, a friend of Ofori-Atta. Mamenchiro, honestly, the picture. The woman they sacked her, no, omu no, and omu de eye estate guy never show her. This woman. So this was the woman who was actually occupying that position before they brought that idiot there. This woman. Sorry. This woman. She was the one who was in charge of procurement. Engineer Jacqueline Ofori-Atta. She was the one there. For some reason, she left. And then they brought this guy in. Let's read the rest. We understand the picture. Wait a next show and son omode eye integu neighbor. Now, look at this. 57, no, it says a lot. Prior to this, the then director of procurement, Engineer Jacqueline Ofori-Atta, who had occupied that position for 5 years, was informed about the mergence of the two directorates at a board meeting and was reassigned to the engineering directorate. She is currently director of engineering at ECG. In Timami way, she was in charge of procurement for about 5 years. One day, I called board meeting and said, Madam, she said, you reassign, go and head another department. Man, no estate so no. You did not merge o department. You did merge estate into one never heady. Into omu ye ku, eno mu yi ni free ho. Eni ye Ofori-Atta free ho. Eni ye de tegu beshe ho. At the board meeting, he announced and say they have merged the estate and procurement. Ono department no, eno mu yi ni free ho. Then ko share be fufuro. Technical director the and omo de tegu beshe ho. And omo started into check here. Also 2022, they didn't do damage. 23, 24, because they needed to put somebody in there to do the damage. Hey, Dubik Mahama is not supposed to sleep at home tonight. Now, when you read the rest of the document, the final paragraphs. Prior to this, the then director of procurement, Engineer Jacqueline Ofori-Atta, who had occupied that position for 5 years, was informed about the mergence of the two directorates at the board meeting and was reassigned to engineering directorate. She is currently the director of engineering in ECG. Now, the committee noted it was during and after the period of the mergence of the procurement and premises and estate directorates that ECG's over-procurement problems amplified and the containers started piling up at the port. Into investigators who say, time anamami we were all the way to 2022 no. That was the time I know much me 5 million editor editing shipping accounting. The day now omuyi mami we free ho a omudi tegu ebe show 2023 no. E hona bibia started here. 5 million na enkobium omuso muni skabium. They cannot do what? Pay for the containers. But they kept giving contract for companies to be shipping containers. And then they brought this guy. And then that is when they started the procurement. So the Tego they brought, the Tego they put there, they knew say Tego was dumb. Because Omnim said Tego was not smart in that position. But the strategy was that put Tego there. The moment you put Tego there, technically there's no office. In Tomu Yimameno, who basically knew about procurement, and I'm going to share some redundant department. And I'm going to tell you, a honor procurement dealings in the start here, a honor containers in the start to pile a port war because there was a plan. It was strategic. They knew what they were doing. Dubik Mahama, Keligajapo, they knew the plan. Afenyo Markin NAPO plans there. He's a businessman, so he also joined the plan. That is why he never wrote a statement or he never complained about that plan he said was wrong. Because if you come and you see some corruption happening as a member of parliament and as a board chair, what do? You stop it. But what did he do? He sat and he joined because he knew there was money coming in. So Afenyo Markin is part of the deals. Now, what kind of final part of a 57? This is what it says. It was revealed that Mr. Samotego did not possess the needed qualification with regards to heading a high-level position as head of procurement per the curriculum vitae, that's the CV, he submitted to the committee. His qualification is sampled below. This is compared with the committee's recommendation on what the director of procurement should possess. When you read the whole report, the Papa ni CV, it comes nowhere close to a procurement boss. So the plan started from 2023. Omuyi maame no mde tego be sheho na damage. Afenyo Markin Kasongo 99, when he actually entered ECG as the board chair, what he first did was that he first looked at the issue and saw money. He saw red meat. He did not complain. He did not come out and say there's some corruption happening here. Afenyo Markin did not complain about the corruption happening at ECG. Afenyo Markin, at the end of the day, Mr. S, I don't want his CV. I don't even want to read his CV. Afenyo Markin joined the crime. And in the original parliament, Eka said, the crime that has been committed, we should forget about it and then let's do it. Let's not do it NDC, MPP. Let us all come together and make sure that the custom for any system na enye juman yan work and fix the system. Afenyo Markin is 100,000% corrupt and guilty of a crime. That is why today in Parliament, he was telling you, let us put everything aside. NDC should come together, MPP should come together. Let us make sure we solve ECG problems. The only way we can solve ECG problems is to make sure people like Afenyo Markin who stole from us are jailed. That is the only way people who are thinking of stealing from ECG will think twice and stay away. Until we jail Kelegajepo, we jail Dubik Mahama, jail Afenyo Markin, the stealing and corruption happening at ECG will never stop. Because this should be the first deterrent. This should be the first caution. This to be the highest form of punishment to deter anybody using ECG to steal from us. So jailing Afenyo Markin, jailing Dubik Mahama, jailing Kelegajepo is the first step to our freedom of saving ECG, our freedom of making sure the system works. Because if we get to know that Afenyo Markin has been jailed, every young man in politics who is given a position to work at ECG will think twice. Because Kasongo is in jail, Dubik is in jail, Kajepo is in jail. It will send a shivering message through the spines of criminals in this nation. So this criminal, per the document that I have read, this Afenyo Markin guy who oversaw or supervised all this corruption as the board chair of ECG is not supposed to stay at home tonight. Remember, NAPO was the energy minister. NAPO's best friend is Afenyo Markin and Kennedy Japan. NAPO he was overseeing all these things. He has prior knowledge and he understands where all these things are coming from. They have stolen cables, they have stolen transformers, they have sold things, they have melted a lot of things. Afenyo Markin is not supposed to lead any group. Madmen in Ghana are not supposed to be led by Afenyo Markin because he's despicably dirty. He does not have any principles and moral right to stand in our Parliament to discuss the development of Ghana. Afenyo Markin as the board chair of ECG is a disease to our politics and disease to Ghana as a nation. We need to come together and make sure Yachi Afenyo Markin, he has answered question, he has been jailed to make sure say Ghana no ya set example being sida. President John Dramani Mahama, we did not put our lives on the line to bring you back to power for nothing. Majority of us on social media, myself, in Koto, Freemind, Ransford Kebuachi, the good people of Ghana, some intelligent, honest bloggers who were honest in their deliberations, did not do this because we're a handsome man. They did not put everything on the line because they love you more than their mothers. We did this because we believed in your vision. We believed in your honesty. You need to make sure the right thing is done. Afenyo Markin and all these criminals are supposed to face the law. He is not bigger than anybody. They are not bigger than anybody. The law needs to be applied irrespective of who you are, which positions you hold in this country. We need to set an example. We cannot let this slide. Mr. President, if you are going to start being my enemy, if you are going to start having issues with me, then it will be because of this case. I don't want to have issue with you, and I know you don't ever want to have issues with me because the respect I have for you, the belief and trust that I have in you, that I decided to dedicate my platform to educate Ghanaians and to make sure you are cleaned of all allegations that were not true, to make sure we get an intelligent, honest Ghanaian to lead us. That is why we are here. We are not here because of family and friends. We are not here because our friends in politics. We are here to make sure we reset the system. I don't ever want to be your enemy, and I don't ever want you to be my enemy. I respect you, and with all due respect, the right thing needs to be done, or else your governance will never see the day of light. Afenyo Markin, Kelly Gajepo, Dubik Mahama, they need to pay. We cannot let this slide. We are Ghanaians. We have done the work we have to do by voting for you. We still have the belief in your leadership. We still believe you can reset this nation with Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. We are doing this because we love our nation. We are doing this because we want to reset this nation. We are doing this because we love Ghana. Do not turn us against you. Tomorrow, next week, heads needs to roll. The board chairs, they have to be called. The MD, he has to be called. The Attorney General's office should open investigations now. With all due respect, Mr. President, I keep telling you, I am a messenger without a Bible or a Quran, a messenger who came to deliver the message. We have gone through fire to get you here, and we are still going through fire to protect the leadership that you are showing, which is legitimate and respectful. Do not, and this goes to every single NDC person, from the top to the down. If anybody dares to try and cover up for anybody, you people will understand the power belongs to we on the ground. And this goes to every single person, from the president to the last person in Ghana. I have done my job. Ghanaians have done their job. They have sacrificed, they voted, they have lived to make sure you become president.
Asrewadi Sela, Wahadi Hana, Oyodi Yona, Poliade Polina, Cocoa de Comfort, Coto de Kunto, Chichibia de Chairman, Four de Farmer. Hey!